What is up, everyone? We are back with another review. Here is a non-spoiler, quick little season review for Dead City. So we were lucky enough to see some of the episodes early, and I'm really excited to talk about this, considering that we've all had our thoughts on the spin-offs and thoughts on how the spin-offs were going to be. And season one of Dead City, I enjoyed, and I am on that same boat with season two. And obviously not talking about Daryl Dixon or any of that, but I've had fun with that too. So far, even though the main show has ended, I'm having a blast with seeing some of these main characters drift off and do their own thing. Before we go crazy, hello, I'm Busy Braun. Welcome to Team JVS. I'm excited to talk to you. We have a lot of reviews coming out, not only for Dead City, but a whole bunch of other things. So if you're into that, subscribe, like, do what you can, and we're gonna be doing weekly full spoiler reviews and live streams on my channel, but full spoiler reviews over here. And if you guys are into that, please just stay tuned, talk to us into the comment section and all that stuff. But as for now, the non-spoiler, I'm really excited to dive into this. One thing I'm I was excited for was obviously seeing Negan and Maggie together, but it's gonna take some time to dive into that. I mean, considering with the way the last season ended, we knew that it was going to be interesting to see how they were going to throw them back into the mix again. And although I will say that the way they kind of like get some character to go back to the city, and you guys know I'm referring to Maggie, but the way that they do certain things, it has me questioning a lot, and I know some of you probably will be like, okay, was this a valid reason to do things or to make kind of a rash decision? But at the same time, I mean, I was kind of happy that we were kind of diving back into things, but realistically, um I do like the addition of some of these characters. One specifically being Dasha Polanco. I am a huge fan of what I've seen her in before, whether it's Orange is the New Black or In the Heights, which is my favorite musical. But her diving into this and being involved in this was something that I was curious about. Like, an actor that I'm familiar with being involved with one of my favorite franchises. So I was curious. I will say her character is very, very just does not give a single crap, if that's the correct term. Very, very tough, I will say. Very, makes you draw questions like how insane are you, because you're just so serious, but at the same time you're making people prove themselves, and I just love the way that she handles the performance, because she just has that like nonchalant attitude, and she just does a really good job with that, but at the same time knows how to give off a lot of energy when it's needed. And you see a little bit of that in the first episode with her just kind of being a little crazier than I personally would be, but it's the apocalypse, um obviously we're getting a little more screen time with certain characters. I do want to include, say, Herschel, little Herschel. We saw how angry and kind of a little aggravated he was in the last season, and obviously him being a teenager, it makes sense for him to be a little rebellious, and we see that a little bit in you know Dead City in season 2. We see how he is trying to be a little more friendly compared to how he was. Obviously the kid's gone through a lot, but I will say that it's the same kind of vibe that he gives off from season 1 that I was hoping that would change, but at the same time it makes sense because of how much of a kid he is. I will say they do a really good job with having all these other characters that you know we enjoyed in season 1 kind of like at least have some time, you know whether it's Ginny or whether it's Herschel or whatever. It's giving them more time to develop as characters. And but diving back to Maggie with how conflicted she is, whether it's to see Negan again or to just having to go back to that craziness, it's just drawing a lot of questions, because we have certain characters being like, "Oh, you're doing this for this reason," and then her believing that she's doing it for another reason. And it's curious to kind of just keep asking these questions, like, why are we actually willing to go back to this point, and all of these groups that are appearing, which are pretty awesome, including, what is it, Babylon, that we were kind of dealing with, but they are just becoming more and more, and in my opinion, annoying. And I don't know how you felt about them in the first season, but that's just kind of where I'm at right now. But just diving into the main kind of groups that we see on the island is something that I think you guys are gonna really enjoy. Just the kind of like the who's gonna be on top aspect of it, and of course we have that, and then we have just say a specific character, whether it's Negan or not, having to kind of prove himself and having to kind of earn that mantle of being the king again. Because we've seen Negan, we saw where he was in season 7 or season 8, and to see him kind of having to put on that showman's face again and kind of go back to that peak Negan was a highlight. It's a highlight for me. And it's just been one of the best things for me. And when you guys see it, you guys will know what I'm talking about. Just seeing, I guess, him perform, and Jeffrey Dean Morgan is just a pleasure. So for them to add just a new little twist to it, and on top of it, a new little twist to Lucille, it's great. And just the automatic switch he gets when he kind of goes back to that old Negan kind of personality. It's kind of a privilege to see Jeffrey Dean Morgan work. I will say that, but I don't want to say too much. I think that this is a solid start, if you will, to the season. I only saw about half of it, so it's not as much as the entirety of the season. But what I've seen, I've been impressed, and the new kind of additions to the show that they've added, some new characters, have been interesting, and I'm definitely excited to learn more there. But obviously, one of my favorite parts is just some of the shots that they've had, just to see the city as a whole, just kind of just an apocalyptic city, whether it's New York City, whether it's Seattle or whatever. It's just really cool to see. So they've really done that, and you can see the budget kind of working hard. So I will say I've it's been fun. So I've had a good time with it. I'm really hoping you guys do too. Again, it's really hard not to say too much, so I'm like babbling at times because you don't want to spoil things, but I want to get you guys excited. And again, I'm really excited to talk to you guys. So make sure you're paying attention to our weekly reviews, my weekly reactions on my channel. And for now, just a big thank you. You guys are great. Hope you're doing well. I hope you're staying safe. Make sure you're subscribing to Team JVS for more content, more reviews. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.